All right, welcome back to another episode of the Square State Sandlot podcast. We've got Kyle here with us. No John, as he probably won't be a feature on the weekday podcast because of the time conflict. So, Kyle, you missed last week, so we want to get your picks. We did the conference division, all that fun stuff. So, let's get your take on who you have now that the season's getting close to starting here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of fun to dive into this stuff. Obviously, um, it's extremely early, as we've talked about previous picks, but it's always fun this time of year. I guess see how it ends up, see how close we were. But as far as division winners, there was a couple of them that were a little trickier for me, but I guess we'll start with the NFC. So NFC West, I am a big Stafford fan, so I'm really hoping he does well out there. And for that reason, I like what the Rams have done with the rest of the team. Obviously, Aaron Donald and things like that on defense they kind of speak for themselves. But I think he may be the missing ingredient for that team. Jordan Goff had success there, but he, in my opinion, is not a Matthew Stafford.
Right.
I absolutely love Stafford. He's tough as nails. He's one of those guys that Lions fans don't hate me, but he deserved a better team than he's been on. So I'm excited for him. So for that, I'm taking the Rams. I wanted to go elsewhere with this next one, but for the NFC South, I do have the Buccaneers repeating, or I guess they didn't take the division last year. I lied.
Yeah.
But I have them taking the division this year. And then for the NFC East, this is probably the one I struggled with the most, which is obvious. I mean, it's one of them that it's like that every season. But I ended up finally going with the Eagles. I simply think they're a very small step ahead of the other three. It's still wide open in that division, though.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to give you how many wins I have them. I did. So I'm going to actually have you and John fill out one of these, but there's a shout out to Playoff Predictors. There's a website where you can go through week by week and just pick all your games, and then it'll show you what you have at the end of the season. I have the Eagles going.
Very nice.
I have the Eagles going 4-13. So.
I guess we have differing opinions.
Yes, we do.
I'll be honest. That division was really hard for me. It's just hard.
Yeah.
That division is always neck and neck. I want.
You know it can't be the Washington football team because they won it last year, and there hasn't been a repeat in like 15, 20 years.
That was who I wanted to put in there the first time, and I had the exact same train of thought, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe Dak comes back and has an amazing season, but it's such an unknown. I don't know. I settled on the Eagles.
Yeah.
NFC North, this one, I see the Packers very similar to in the same situation that I see my Steelers in as far as the way the division lines up. I do think the Packers will take the division. I think perhaps that window is starting to close, and I think you will see some teams make up some ground, obviously, depending on how Rodgers' stuff plays out. But as far as this next season, I do have the Packers taking that. So for the NFC, I have the Rams, Bucks, Eagles, and Packers all taking their division. As far as the AFC, I do think the Tennessee Titans will take the South for sure. I think they have a pretty stacked team compared to everybody else in that division. I really do think Buffalo's going to continue to make progress, not just Josh Allen, but I think the whole team. So I think they take that division. Maybe Miami gives them a run for their money as far as the splits on games, but I don't see them supplanting the Bills as a division leader. Obviously, I have my Steelers taking it. It's still their division to lose. It has been for a long time. And lastly, the Chiefs. I really wanted to pick anybody but them for this pick, but it's hard to argue with obviously what they've built. So, recap AFC, I got Titans, Bills, Steelers, and Chiefs moving through. The way I see the conference championships playing out is I see the Rams and Packers, and the Rams taking that. And I have the Bills getting some redemption, taking out the Chiefs and moving on to the Super Bowl as well. So I'm calling a Bills-Rams Super Bowl, and the Bills get it done, and they finally get that Super Bowl win. It's an awesome fan base. It's obviously they've had some amazing teams over the years. They're one of those teams that deserves that Super Bowl. So, with that being said, getting into player awards or individual awards.
Could you have an original thought? My God, you just copied me.
Well, obviously we're all high on Josh Allen, so it's easy to get on that bandwagon, but he's improved substantially every year. I mean, he's never had a regression, which is pretty unheard of to see that year after year. So there's no reason to think that he won't do it again. And then on top of that, we talked about them adding some of his weapons, including one from Wyoming. So I think his comfort level will just continue to grow. He's obviously exceeded what people that weren't in the know during his Wyoming days expected him to be. But there's other things like the Bills defense. It's one of those teams that maybe aren't in the top 5, but they're right up there in the top 10, and they're good enough to help win some games on defense. Well, so I really think they're a complete team.
We hope they return to that, because last year they were not.
That's true. That's true.
I think last year they were probably in the 20s on defense. So hoping they go back to the 2019 form when they were.
I think they're going
5.
to.
Yeah.
They'll definitely return.
Yeah, and then you said you've got some picks for the NFL rewards, so let's hear those.
I do. They coincide a lot with obviously what I just got done talking about, but I'm hoping for a jump like he had from, the previous season to last season. And I'm hoping that he can at least, progress the same way. I don't know if you can make that big of a jump, but I'd love to see it. So for MVP, I actually have Josh Allen taking it, and I would be absolutely thrilled. I know you're right there with me.
Yep.
We love the kid. It's hard not to be excited for him. I mean, all of Wyoming is, a closet Bills fan right now just because of him. So, or at least hoping they do well just for his sake. With that being said, this one is a touchy one for me. Defensive Player of the Year. Anybody who's listened obviously heard me talk about this in previous podcasts, but TJ Watt is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He should have won it last year. Aaron Donald is a beast, but I don't understand how that happens still. I will never be okay with it. I get that he's a tackle.
Those numbers from the inside.
I get that. I get that he's a tackle.
He's getting triple teamed and still putting up those numbers.
If he was beating Watt's numbers, then maybe. He's an amazing tackle, and he deserves it.
Can't from the inside.
Sure you can.
He's pretty much the best that's ever done it, and he's not doing it, so.
Cool. Well, he can win Best Interior Defensive Lineman of the Year.
We'll make that award.
If TJ gets robbed again, I swear to God. Anyways.
A little salty about that. That's fine.
Yeah, sorry. This next one I have is a bit of, it's not a wild card because the dude is so talented. Alvin Kamala. He's a player that I've enjoyed for a really long time. Well, I guess I can't say a really long time, but basically since he's come into the league. My dad is a Saints fan, so I've always paid attention to him. I think this is somewhat dependent on obviously the Saints putting together a good season. A lot of that's going to be obviously quarterback play. We'll see how that all plans out, but I do think that he's going to put a campaign together.
You already know how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, I saw you and John talking about it.
Jameis going to be eating them dubs.
I know. We'll see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jameis Winston has a cannon, and I think he has the physical capability of being successful. We'll see what happens. With that being said, Alvin is one of my favorite running backs in the league. I'm looking to see him give some, your Derrick Henrys, these guys, McCaffrey, get these guys a run for their money, and I think he's going to take it. So, as far as rookies, offensive rookie of the year, you guys know I got to go with my boy, Najee Harris. Anybody who's watched him in preseason, the dude is he's ready to eat up yards. He loves to hit. He loves contact. He drives. He never sits a play out or sits a play off. It's hard not to love him. I really think he's going to put together a hell of a campaign. I think the only people that maybe would give him a run for his money is if one of these rookie quarterbacks just completely go off. Yeah. Which is pretty hard to do in today's league. So I'm pretty confident in that. Defensive rookie of the year. I actually got to see them play in the Hall of Fame game, obviously, when the Steelers played the Cowboys. But Micah Parsons is one of those linebackers that I almost make a connection to like a Luke Kuechly. He's always there. He is always making a move on a play, even if he's not the one that makes the play. He's the next guy there. He's always ready. I mean, he's a sensational linebacker. As much as you don't want it to happen to your team, it was fun to watch him on defense. Yeah. I think he's something special. I think the Cowboys have kind of been missing that linebacker since Sean Lee started getting hurt. I think he's going to be a mainstay in that defense, obviously, and probably end up taking the helm on that defense. Yeah. Pretty impressive. And speaking of the Cowboys, comeback player is always a little hard.
This
and
one
no
was
one's
going
to compare to like Alex Smith. That was like a comeback of comebacks. But I did go with Dak Prescott just because it's Dallas. The amount of pressure you have there, especially at the quarterback position. This first part of his career obviously has not met the expectations, I would say, of the franchise and the fans. He's another one. I think he's insanely talented. He's just got to put together a healthy season, have it all come together, and if he does, I think he will win comeback player of the year. I don't think there's a cut and dry, clear favorite like, the Alex Smith situation. That's a story you can't compete with. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out because.
Yeah, I think the more I think about it,
player if he doesn't have a season.
I probably should have went with Jameis because I'm on that hype train.
He's your boy.
But Dak, yeah, I think it's probably him, Dak, or Saquon Barkley, which is who I went with because
that was my second pick.
I don't think the Giants have much outside of him on that offense, so that's why I went with him.
And he's a stud, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to make, obviously, a bigger impact, an actual impact, because he's going to get to play, hopefully, stays healthy. I just don't think it has the same hype around it as, say, a Dallas quarterback.
Right.
So if he's able to come in and, say, take that division, I think he's got it locked up.
Yep.
Lastly, coach. Obviously, this falls in line with my Super Bowl pick and the MVP pick, but if Sean McDermott's able to get the Bills their first Super Bowl win, I think he's hands down going to win Coach of the Year.
Yep.
If that storyline plays out, I don't think there's any other coach that could compete with it. It would take some kind of crazy upheaval in the divisions for someone to supplant him in that spot. So I'm going with Sean McDermott. Obviously, it's pretty heavy on the Bills. Most of that, I'm sure, is because of my, bias for Josh Allen, but it's hard not to root for him. So I hope they do well, except for week 1. In case that wasn't clear. So those are my picks. We'll see how close I am, but it's how I'm feeling right now. So
I think they're all pretty good. I think one dark horse that I haven't seen mentioned a lot for Defensive Rookie of the Year is Gregory Rousseau for the Bills. That guy looks like he's going to be a real threat on the edge. So I think if I had to redo it, I picked Trevon Merrick from the Raiders because I feel like the Raiders are going to have a good defensive season. And I think he's going to be a huge part on that back end with creating a lot of turnovers in the passing game.
I'm actually getting really excited about you guys. I'm trying to I'm trying to calm myself down because sorry, Bill, but it's the Raiders.
Right.
So I'm trying to, but it's easy to get excited. I like a lot of what you guys have done as far as moves and drafting.
I'm definitely trying to curb my enthusiasm, but like when I was picking,
don't even try.
When I was picking, I had them at 11-6, which I think it's going to take 11 wins to get into the playoffs in the AFC. And that's a 7 seed, having them at 11 wins in my playoff prediction. So I'm hoping for that. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. I think their ceiling's probably 12, maybe 13 wins if everything goes right for them. But yeah, I think 11 is probably a reasonable. And I think Vegas has them at like 8.5 as their over/under. So I think I would probably be pretty comfortable in taking that over. But yeah, no,
I'll be honest. I wanted to pick you guys for division. I hope somehow you guys were able to swing that, but
I don't think it'll happen. Like I think we'll beat the Chiefs at least once.
I'd like to see a split.
We'll probably split with them. So it's going to take some, I don't know, injuries or something because their offense is just super talented. It's going to be tough for anyone to stop them. But like I said, I think their offensive line has taken a step back. So there's definitely a window. And I don't think their defense is going to be as good either. They lost, is it Frank Clark? He's the one that had that felony gun possession.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's Frank Clark. Anyway, one of their D-line is probably going to be out for a good chunk of the season.
Defensive end.
Yep. So he's a big part of their pass rush, and I just wouldn't be surprised to see them pull back. I still had them at 13 wins, which is second in the AFC, but that's mostly because you guys have such a top-heavy division. I had Ravens, Steelers at 11-6. Yeah, both of you guys. No, all three of you. Ravens, Steelers, Browns at 11-6, with the Ravens taking the division just because of tiebreakers. And then in that order, Ravens, Steelers, Browns. So, and you guys were the 4, 5, 6 seeds in the playoffs. So
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. And then the AFC East, like you were talking about, Bills are going to have a run for their money because of the other teams in the division. I think the Patriots are going to be really good, and I think Mac Brown's probably going to start the season as the starting quarterback because of what happened to Cam over the weekend. But I have the Patriots at 10-7 and the Dolphins at 10-7, and the Bills.
I think they'll be competitive. Yep. I just don't think they can knock them out.
Well, and that puts them just outside of the playoffs. I had the Bills at 14-3, Jets at 6-11. So anyway, I'll have to have you guys fill that out just so we have.
Yeah, I'd love to actually. I think that's fun.
Just so we have some things we can go back to refer to rather than just notes of what we picked. So it'd be pretty fun to do.
Absolutely.
But we have some news coming out of Denver.
Yeah, so Broncos fans, if you haven't been listening or watching, I guess, pay attention to preseason. Your starting quarterback battle is officially over, and I'm actually pretty excited for him. I'm a big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I've always thought, he was a pretty talented kid. Maybe didn't get the best opportunities over the years, so I'm excited to see him get to start, and I hope he does something there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want him to do too well, but I'd like to see, a win for him personally. So
Yeah.
see
Well,
what he does in Denver.
I think they made the right choice because they've already seen what they have in Drew Lock over the past 2 seasons. No one was a real believer in him, outside of maybe some loyalists to him. But yeah, I think Vic is probably on the hot seat already, and he's probably trying to see what he's got in Teddy B and see what happens. And obviously, it's pretty tragic what happened to him with that knee injury as he was basically torching the league over in Minnesota, and then they replaced him with Kirk
Yeah, I mean,
Cousins.
he would have ended up with a huge contract. I mean, he was, like you said, he was playing. I mean, I'd have to really look back, but he was top end of the league as far as how he was playing quarterback.
Yeah, definitely
I mean,
top
it's
half for
when
sure.
I became a fan of him, obviously,
Yeah.
seeing him do well, but I don't know. I hope it's a win for him.
He reminded me a lot of Dante Culpepper, especially
Oh,
being in.
seeing him in purple, I mean, it was
Yeah,
hard not to make those comparisons.
yeah, but
But I agree. I think his movement was very reminiscent of him.
yep. And obviously that knee injury has kind of slowed him down, and I think it's probably taken some off of his arm because now he's more of a. You don't want to call him a game manager because he's not that. He can still make plays, but he definitely isn't stretching the field by any means. So,
He's not as dynamic as he was, or at
so
least that we've seen.
yeah, I mean he could come out firing, but I have the Broncos at 6-11 in my
Whew.
projections, so not expecting too much out of them. Obviously, like I've talked about, their defense is great, but if you can't put up points, it's not going to matter. So,
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. I didn't expect a lot of love from you
well, I mean,
for those boys.
I've got the
Just
Chargers
kidding.
at 9-8, so that's
I
taking a
think
couple
that's
wins
pretty
from
fair.
them, and then like I said, Chiefs and Raiders. Chiefs 13-4, Raiders 11-6. So got
I
to get those
agree. I
wins
have
somewhere.
them in the same. I have them in the same order as well.
Yeah. So, um, what do you got with the Steelers going on?
Uh, I mean, I've really enjoyed. I'm glad they had the Hall of Fame game. I've really enjoyed the preseason games. Yes, it's preseason. Look into it, for what it's worth. But this last game, um, Big Ben capped two really good drives. He looked amazing. He actually, he threw a perfect game, basically. Perfect passer rating. But the cherry on top, anyone who's listened, I'm a huge Pat Fryermuth fan, obviously. I'm super excited about this kid. I think he will end up being our number one tight end. It might take a little bit of time, maybe less time if he keeps doing this. But like I said, Big Ben looked amazing in the pocket. He moved the team well, and he capped both of those drives off with Pat Fryermuth touchdowns. And this week, Big Ben was quoted as saying that Pat Fryermuth reminds him of another tight end that has played in Pittsburgh.
Heath.
Yes, sir, and that's where the Muth chants are going to start. They've already started. He's a talent, man. I'm so excited. If anybody listened during the draft time, I was as if not more excited about him than I was Najee Harris, and that says a lot because Najee is unreal. I think he's going to be a game changer for this offense, especially for Big Ben, because there's a bit of pressure on him this year, but that's going to be such a comfort, just security blanket for him and Ebron. So all in all, what I've seen out of the preseason, I'm really happy with our starting offense, including the line. They need to polish a few things up, but they are bruisers, man. They are pushing people around really well. They're run blocking extremely well, and I just love seeing linemen that far downfield. So I'm excited about the line. defense is obviously Steelers defense. They're going to be one of the top defenses, if not the top defense. I don't know. I'm excited. I think they're gonna show a lot of people that they shouldn't have been doubting them this offseason, especially Big Ben. I think he showed up with a chip on his shoulder, so I'm excited.
So you know
With
what?
that being said, tell me about your Raiders.
You know what Kyle's fantasy board's gonna look like?
No,
Raiders.
I always have to tell myself, do not do that.
Yeah. Well, I know not to do that. I usually pick one Raiders person, and then that's what I name my team after, whoever I pick.
Weird. Me too.
Yeah. Just because I know, but I don't know. Our offense is going to be good. It's just a matter of who's. Outside of Waller, I don't think there's going to be a safe pick because I think Derek spreads the ball around so much. But a little bit about the Raiders. They've had several injuries to the linebacking core. So we had Nick Morrow, Javin White, and Nick Kwiatkowski. All three of them were expected to play at least a few snaps. Kwiatkowski's probably the best of the bunch, but I think Nicholas Morrow in Bradley's system probably fits better than Kwiatkowski, so I think he was going to supplant him as a starter, even though they just gave Kwiatkowski a decent contract last offseason. So they're down 3 linebackers right now, which forced them into making a trade today, and they swapped their 6th round pick for the Panthers' 7th round pick and Denzel Perryman, who has also been in Gus Bradley's system. So it's basically a depth signing. I wouldn't be surprised if either Morrow or Javin White end up on the injured reserve list and maybe designated to return, maybe just lost for the season. It sounds like Morrow's is the more serious of the 2 injuries, but Javin is one of those guys that was going to be just a depth piece anyway. So if they have any hope that Morrow comes back, he'd probably be designated to return, while Javin would probably be just IR'd for the rest of the season if they had to do that to clear up a spot.
Right.
They had been rumored. Well, they've had KJ Wright visit. He left. He's been on several visits since then and hasn't signed with the team. It seems to me like his asking price is just way too high because with the obvious need at linebacker for the Raiders, it would have made a lot of sense for them just to be like, okay, well, we didn't want to give you that money back then, but now that we have the need, we'll give you a little bit more. Let's just make it work.
I was going to ask, do you think there's a chance it gets done now?
No. I think if they were going to do it, they would have done it before swinging a trade. Perryman's, he signed a 2-year, $6 million deal with the Panthers over this offseason. So he hadn't even played a game with the Panthers yet, and they already traded him. But they've already paid most of his roster bonus, so I think it's only going to cost the Raiders less than $1 million to have him on the roster. So it's not a
good depth pick.
Yeah, not going to eat up any cap space. Plus, he's probably not going to be our starter once everyone gets healthy again. So
this is the one thing with I love KJ Wright, to be clear. I mean, I've been a fan of him obviously since his glory days, in that defense in Seattle. I should say glory days. He's obviously still super talented. He's one of those. I mean, he's an amazing linebacker. But this is where I get frustrated with some players. I don't know why somebody like him would not take a little bit less. He's going to get paid. He's going to make good money.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I understand the side of it. You got to make your money while you can. But if you are looking to win, I don't know why somebody like him doesn't, meet in the middle with a defense that needs somebody like that.
Yep.
Or somebody that's ready to make that jump, say, to the championship games or Super Bowl. I mean, he's one of those players that, like, if you had a solid defense and then put him in the middle, you guys are going to be humming. I mean, he is unreal. His coverage ability is, it's wonderful from the linebacker position.
For sure.
I don't know. I always worry about this, that players like him just price themselves out of a good situation. He may catch a payday and I mean, I get that side of it. I really do. And I wish him the best as far as making money, but I just don't want to. I hate when players kind of blackball themselves out of good situations because all they were wanting is that big contract.
Yeah, and I don't know how much this is true. Vic Tafur from the Athletic, he said that KJ was just looking for way too much money, and he's willing to retire rather than take a pay cut, essentially. So
yeah, he's looking for just a payday.
he says he is in shape and wants to play, but it seems to not be the case because if I were to guess, the Raiders are probably looking to pay him like $3 million, and I think he's wanting like $8 million. So obviously, if you meet somewhere in the middle, 5.5 or something like that, the Raiders could easily free up that space. And he would be a starter, and he's basically what they need since Nick Morrow's down. A decent coverage linebacker, but also just
and again, he knows the system.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it familiarity there.
So much sense, but obviously it's not getting done. So we'll see what happens. I really hope they make a spot for him, but I don't know who would get taken off the roster to make a spot for him unless they're doing, like I said, the IR and then go from there. So, but outside of that, like you said, tons of optimism. Nate Hobbs looks like he's going to be the real deal at cornerback, nickel corner. He's going to replace Nevin Lawson right off the bat because Nevin Lawson's on suspension. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see if the Raiders release Nevin because outside of being just a depth piece, he's kind of expensive for just a depth piece, and I think he's played 95 career games and never had an interception at the cornerback position, so it's pretty terrible.
And you don't want to miss any time like this and have somebody like that show up below you. Yeah. I mean, this is the typical way someone loses their starting job.
Yep, and that's where, like I was mentioning with Cam, I think Mac might even start right out of the gate. So, unfortunate situation for him. But bringing it back to the Raiders, Nate Hobbs, Trevon Merrick, they both look like great defensive players. Obviously, in the preseason, you're doing very vanilla defenses against very vanilla offenses. So they haven't been exposed to a lot of things that they're going to see in the actual regular season when they're going against actual game plans against them. So I want to curb my expectations a little bit, but based on what I've seen so far, they're going to, even if they get beat, they're not going to get beat on the same play twice. So that's something you want to see, is that growth. But outside of that, yeah, just like I said, I'm trying to curb my optimism, but they look like they're going to be a lot better than they the last 3-4 seasons. So.
Well, and it's coming down to it too. We don't have that long of a wait. What's opening weekend is the 9th?
Yeah, I think.
Right?
Something like that. Yeah,
that's
9th.
Right.
Yep, Thursday night.
We're coming up on it pretty quick, so
our draft's
I'm pretty excited to get back into it. I know, and I think I will be able to make it. No auto draft for me, hopefully.
Well, John's going to have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to do the draft, so we'll see how dedicated he is to it. But
draft.
I think we have a full 14 teams, which is 2 more than I usually like to do, but it's fine.
We'll off air. We'll have to. I want to look at the trophies. I'm even willing to go in with you on it.
Oh, we forgot to mention at the top that we have that giveaway going on. So,
true.
If you guys listen, make sure that you share, like our page, share to your friends and followers. We have the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages, and then we're also on YouTube. So just make sure that you help us spread the good word. We're trying to build a decent audience here. So if you guys like what you hear, make sure you review us and give us some listens, likes, comments, whatever you can do to help us out. And we're giving away a $20 Amazon gift card to someone that does review us and then shares, and we'll announce that selection on the 1st, which is a week from today. So.
And the more successful, obviously, this is our first one we've done, so if we have some success with it, it'll obviously lead to some other ones. So Can't say it enough. We're really looking for some listener feedback and interaction. So
Yep.
hopefully we can jumpstart some of that.
All right. So with that being said, we got some MLB stuff to talk about. You want to go first?
Yeah, a couple things. Sure. I mean, it's more of the same with the Pirates. Lots of ups and downs. It just seems like we play really good teams really well. Some other, maybe teams I thought we'd be more competitive with, we don't look so great. But right now, currently, we're in a series with the Diamondbacks, which, if anyone listened to the last time I was on, we're kind of fighting for draft position right now. We're in fourth right now from the bottom. But we had an opportunity here with the Diamondbacks, as much as you don't want to lose games. If we, say, got swept in this series, we had a chance to really make up a lot of ground. And we won the first two. We ended up losing tonight. So that kind of helps. But winning those first two, I'm torn on it. Yes, I want as high a draft pick as I can get, but it's still awesome seeing these young guys fighting. The one thing I'll say about the Pirates this year is they have been outmatched in a lot of games, but not a single game this season have they not put in the work? Have they not fought? Have they not put in, effort? They've put together, I think, a campaign they can be proud of, despite obviously probably going over 100 losses this season. I think they're projected to do that for sure. I don't know. I'm taking a lot of positives out of it. So we're winding down for the season. Obviously, they will not be in the playoffs, but there's some positivity going into next season for sure.
Well, and I think you guys might get a decent boost because it sounds like there's going to be a salary floor implemented next season.
Yeah.
So obviously, if teams are going to have to spend, they're not just going to throw it at one or two players. They're probably going to spread that out, especially if they're not necessarily ready to contend. But you might also see like a monster extension for your center fielder. His name's escaping
We're
me
gonna
right
get
now.
that done. Brian Reynolds.
There we go, Reynolds.
Golden Glove.
Yeah, so if you get one of those extensions done, obviously that will eat up some cap space. But I think it's going to help teams like yours and mine. A's never extend anyone. They usually just let their players either walk or they trade them before they hit arbitration years. So I'm hoping this forces the A's either to, well, actually I hope it forces them to extend at least either Olson or Chapman, if not both. It's going to be tough to do because, well, Chapman's had 2 down years in a row, so that's probably hurt his value quite a bit, and Olson is having the career year.
Yeah.
Which
I think you got to go Olson on that one.
I think so too, but at the same time, I really don't know what the numbers are going to look like. Everyone was projecting Olson to be the cheaper of the two going forward, so that he was the more likely to sign. But we also have Ramon Laureano, and if they don't re-sign Marte after what he's done since being traded to the A's, I don't know what they're looking for, because that guy he's stolen like, I think, 16 bases since he's been with the A's, hasn't been caught once. He's just a
unreal
run-producing machine, and he's always on base, always getting clutch hits. So I really hope they bring him back. But speaking of my A's, they dropped 2 in a row to the Mariners. They had 3 straight blown saves. And then this last one, Cole Irvin got ran out of the game in the top of the 4th. So he didn't have a good game. And then Guerra came in and pitched very well for 3 innings, and then the rest of the bullpen sucked. Gave up a couple more runs. We lost 5-1. So it's getting to the point where it's either put up or shut up for the A's, because they keep dropping two or 3 games, something like that, in each series. All the other teams, Yankees are surging. Rays are still playing great. Red Sox are scuffling a lot like the A's are, but they're still, I think they're 1 game. No, the Yankees are a game ahead of the A's now. And then the Astros are like 5 games ahead of us in the division. So it's really time, and we play the Yankees next. So it's obviously an opportunity to pick up some games if we can play well. But the way we're playing right now and the way that the Yankees are playing right now, it's not lining up very good for us to make the playoffs.
They're playing lights out right now. It's a bad time to hit them.
Honestly, like ever since Bassett got hurt, the team dynamic has just been different. Like obviously we've gone through some good stretches and we've gone through some bad stretches this season. We were just starting to rebound, and Chris Bassett is the stopper. If you start to have a losing streak, he's the guy you want in the rotation to come up that's going to stop that losing streak. And we don't have that right now. Like, Manaea's a great pitcher. Cap's been great this year, but he's starting to slow down. Irvin's starting to slow down. So, yeah, it's been tough. Frankie Montas has been pitching very well in the absence of Chris Bassett, but that's one guy. And Manaea's been struggling a bit too. So I'm hoping we're dipping right now just to make a nice surge right at the end and get hot. But
I like it.
They need to do it, and they need to do it soon. Melvin's basically said we need to improve every facet of the game right now, or we're not going to make the playoffs. So
you're unfortunately on the cusp right there.
Yep, and you hate to see the front office go out and make the moves to help get you over the hump, and then you don't reward them by puttering out at the end. So hoping for better news, but I'll be glued in on that series starting tomorrow. So off day today.
Yeah, I mean a series sweep right there is. I mean that's a big change for you guys where you're sitting season wise. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
And then I think the last note I had was, I don't know if you saw this earlier. Sano hit a 495-foot home run, which is the longest home run of the season. When I watched
it, good.
All I had to say about it was Sano MG, because that was a frickin' blast.
Yeah, he cracked that sucker.
I think that's
go ahead. The last thing I have actually is I say it's heating up, but as far as MVP for baseball,
right.
I think it's really down to 2 people. We'll see, but I really think that Tatis and Ohtani are really the only people in the conversation right now.
Yep.
At least my opinion, but I also think Tatis Jr. is hurt because of the time that he's missed, which also may say what he's done with the time he's been in is unreal. He's played extremely well. But I just think that what Ohtani's done this season is, I mean, this is going to go down as, one of the greatest seasons ever by a baseball player in the major league. So, I mean, he's leading in home runs. His ERA is it's under 3, I know for sure. It's 2 something, and I don't have the exact number, but to be able to be that successful on both sides of it is, and I mean, his strikeouts are high. He's pitched plenty of innings. I don't know. It's almost too impressive for me to even consider anyone else. So if I had to pick, I would say it's Ohtani, but I wanted to hear your opinion on it, obviously being more, a seasoned fan as far as baseball.
Since this is baseball, you get 2 MVPs. You get AL and NL.
True.
So,
true.
AL, I think it's going to come down to Ohtani and Vlad Jr. Vlad Jr.'s had a monster season, but like you said, Ohtani's been great on both sides, so I don't see anyone supplanting him. And then Tatis, I think DeGrom, if he could have kept up his season and stayed healthy, it would have been him for sure, which isn't very common to have a pitcher. But I think Tatis, as long as he can stay healthy these last 30-some games, he'll win it. And
I gotta admit though, I'm pretty worried about him as far as the shoulder separations go.
One nice thing is they have moved him to outfield, which should cut down a lot of his reps. Shortstop's one of those positions that you're getting lots of reps. You're having to dive left and right to make plays.
For sure.
you see him pushing off that arm to get back up and whatever when he's making those crazy plays. So obviously outside of like diving plays to catch balls in the outfield, he should be pretty upright and hopefully resting up his
Hopefully
body
heal
out there.
up.
Yeah. So I think that'll keep him healthy at least through the rest of the season, hopefully, because when he's on the field, baseball's a better sport. So.
Oh yeah, he's just exciting. He's a fun personality, fun player.
And then one other thing I forgot to mention with the Raiders, Cliff Branch, he got selected to as the veteran committee member for the Hall of Fame this upcoming season. Doesn't mean he's selected as a inductee yet, but typically when you're voted by the Veterans Committee, you're going in. That's what happened to Tom Flores this season. So finally, obviously it's past due, but the unfortunate thing is he passed away 3 years ago. So
yeah,
I don't know why.
There's way too many of them that's the case, and I get it. I realize it always adds, I guess, urgency when someone does pass, but there's so many of them that never got to enjoy it.
Yeah. This one,
I hate to see it.
Strikes home for me because it's happened to so many Raider greats that never lived to see the honor, like Stabler and, or no, was it Stabler or Plunkett? One of the two. I think it's Stabler. Stabler just passed not that long ago, and he just got inducted last year, 2 years ago, something like that. So, yeah, it's really frustrating, and eventually, hopefully, we'll get Todd Christensen in there as well. He played, I think he only played 9 seasons, but he was putting up modern tight end numbers back then, and he played in the 80s. So,
well, in 9 years during that time frame is a hell of a career. I mean, that's one thing. We're so spoiled with these, 15-year careers out of players now.
Yeah.
It wasn't always the case. I mean, it was a much different league back then. So.
Well, and there's a card that I have somewhere signed by Todd.
Oh, that's awesome.
That he was the catch leader for the AFC, and then reception leader in the NFC was Jerry Rice. So both of those guys were featured on this card as the reception leaders.
Never heard of him.
And, well, it's really personal to me because I'm very good friends with Todd Christensen's son. We grew up together in when I was living in Alpine, Utah. We went to the same elementary and everything, so we were really good friends. I got to spend a lot of time with Todd, which was very special for me because obviously I was a Raiders fan beforehand. In fact, I think I have a picture up here. One sec. Two pictures. So
I love it.
Here's my dad, me, and then Todd and Taryn. Taryn, right? Oh, other side. That's Taryn. That's my friend, and then obviously Todd. And then I have the signed Super Bowl picture of Todd. So pretty cool stuff there. But
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's
my parents
not
didn't like me
everybody
going
gets
over
that
there
opportunity.
wearing Raider stuff because I'd always have him sign it.
You gotta be able to wear some of it.
Yeah. But anyway, so hopefully he gets his call here pretty soon, and then I think that's all I had. So,
yeah, I think that caps everything off for me.
I'll get that playoff predictor sent to you, and then we'll post that on the social media so we have receipts to go back to at the end of the season to see who did the best.
Call each other on our bullshit.
Yep. But
right on, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like we mentioned, make sure you get in the sweepstakes, and as always, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff to help us out. We want those questions in so we can get those in, and there's a link at the bottom of every description for each episode where you can just click right there, and it'll take you right to the voice message where you can ask your question right there. It'll give you multiple attempts to record it if you mess up the first time. So no pressure there. Just get it into us, and we'll either play it on air or read it on air for you. So with that being said, Kyle, do you have anything you want to say before we sign off here?
No, just happy to be here. Happy to hop on. Wish I could have made the last one. Going to try to catch some more of these weekend ones. Just happy to catch up with you.
Well, we might have to do a draft special because get John up at 4 a.m. Let's get recording.
Might as well knock 2 out.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. We hope you enjoy, and we'll get you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you.